Good night. It's the 10th of August 2024, and it's been a good day here, but still probably rain coming, I don't know. But it was a good day. Taking our cars. Now, funny enough, the videos on that subject, there was one started on the 23rd of July. That's not that long. It's only 23rd of July, about over 2 weeks. That got 51,065 views. It got 309 likes. No, sorry, it got 1,500 likes, and it got 309 comments. So 51,065 views, 1,500 likes, and 309 comments. Now, the other ones, No Car Soon, was put on the 8th of August, and it got 613 views. And Car Grab was put on the same day, the 1st of August, and it got 2,300 views. And the total views on this subject of taking the cars is 53,978. So that'll certainly go up to 54,000. And actually, that one on them taking your license. Now, the one on the 23rd of July was they'll take your license, your driving license. So it's getting a lot of views there. It went up today. It went up today almost. It did go up 1,000 views today, the 10th of August. But if you take the three of them, I mean, they're going up a lot. So 54,000 views right now, and there's none of them up a month. So, I mean, this is obviously a subject of great concern to people. And as I have explained to you before, my channel is about predicting the future based on the form of the characters. It's a bit like horse racing. You know, you watch a horse and he's performing a certain way, and he's running well, and the ground mightn't suit him here and there, and that. And the next thing, you think he'll go a bit better now. The ground's a bit lighter, a bit softer, or a bit drier, whatever it is, and maybe a different jockey, and you put on a bet. So it's quite legitimate practice to try to gauge the future from the past. Now, because we've had so much rainy days this summer, you'd think we'd get a few dry days, but the pattern has been for unsettled weather, with rain every day, or every other day at least, and you can't get hay or turf, and that is making it difficult. So it's reasonable to assume our summer for the rest of August will be unsettled, and then it'll usually come in September fairly good. But gauging the weather is a difficult thing to do. But gauging how people will react and what will happen is a different story, and it's quite a legitimate tactic to use, and it's a legitimate tactic to use politically, because what you have in the Western world at the moment is governments go for election, they give you a program for government, they tell you they're going to do this and that and the other, but there's a whole section that they don't give you at all, and that is either somebody leading them, like the World Economic Forum or the Davos meeting or all these meetings, or an underlying general agreement among all of these parties. It could be big money, I don't really know. But the one thing we know for sure is that the person at the bottom of it, the person who has least say, is the ordinary person. And they only have a say every 4 years at the ballot box, which I believe is counted and done fairly. That doesn't mean it's strictly fair, but it's fair from the counting point of view and the voting point of view, when you consider that 38% of the Irish people don't vote at all, and it's worse, it's higher in Britain. So this is the thing, that only for that, they wouldn't even consult us. All of this green stuff, all of this mass migration would take place in extreme amounts. It'd be 5 times worse than it is now. The only little constraint on them is the ballot box. And it's the same, I mean, now we have a communist government in Britain, but we have conservative governments coming on in Europe, and it has been a big benefit. Moreover, in Europe there were farmer protests, and they've been forced to pull away a lot of their attack on the farmer. They were going to drive the farmer out. I see there on the news where now the British government, with no help from the EU, is going to pay the farmer to produce no food on his land. He'll be able to grow nothing, and they'll give him a good price, something like €400 an acre, to grow no food. So this lunacy is there. But there has to be, we have to admit, there is a bit of lunacy behind this. Governments are not capable of doing anything themselves. Now, the thing about the cars is that not one of the 309, and that's on the first video, there's other comments as well. I'd say there could be 400 comments on all that. But not one of them said I was wrong. Not one of the people who commented said, that's wrong, they're not going to take your driving licence away. Now, I can tell you, and it was posted there's a similar scheme in Germany. And if you Google it there, you'll get it on YouTube, a similar scheme. And some people have given up their licence and now they regret it and all of this. But there is no doubt that in respect of the ordinary person like you and me, the government of Ireland have an inferiority complex. They feel they're inferior to the greater power of Europe. If we were still part of the UK, they would feel that we're inferior to Keir Starmer and his government. And that is a strange thing. I don't understand this thing about feeling inferior at all. And I don't really understand this thing about feeling superior. I'm a well-educated fella, been around a good lot of corners. I can never feel superior. I might know more than somebody else, but then they might know something that they could tell me. And as I run my affairs, people come to me for advice, but I can tell you when I run my farming affairs, and I was away from farming kind of for a long time, and when I'd have a cow calving, I'd be on to people that knew what to do. Oh, she didn't put out the afterbirth, leave her alone, don't touch her, and they were all right. So I have no problem getting advice from anyone. I think that if you have an inferiority complex, you have a feeling that everyone's an idiot as well as you. So the other thing about Ireland and the Irish government, they have this thing that Ireland must punch above its weight. We must be the best boy in the class. And they want to be able to go over to Brussels or wherever they're going, or some forum or the World Economic Forum, and say, look at us, we have the best. We're punching above our weight. And this is why they built all these stupid windmills that keep me awake at night. For nothing. It's just to show off. And with the cars, they're attacking the cars. Now, you've seen with the pandemic and the lockdown for COVID, they gave a lot of parking space outside of restaurants in Ireland on the street. Now, I don't think they're paying any rates, but they never give back the parking, and I think they should. The other thing is, if the restaurant closes up, what happens to parking? Will they come and take it down? Will some people who look at my channel have a look around your town and see what has happened? I'm sure there's restaurants closing all over the place. Will they give you back the parking? I don't think they will. So while the EU is trying to take our cars, if we didn't give them to them, they'd have trouble. But our own government, like your man in Sigmund Can, that fella in London, the London Lord Mayor, he's pushing ahead with taking away the cars. Keir Starmer is all for it, and the British people, 1/4 of them voted for the Labour Party, and you've all the carry on going on there. But there in Ireland, we have a rural population and a city population, and there's no doubt people in the city like their cars. We're a very small country, and I'm here out at my farm, and I need my car to go in if I need a loaf of bread or a pint of milk, and if I didn't have the car, I couldn't go on. The idea of getting into town without a car is out. And there can never be a train to my house, as Eamon Ryan says there should be, and there can never be a bus to my house. Now, they are increasing the amount of buses, and there's a bus from Cavan to Dundalk. I think it's 5 or 6 times a day. Whether there's anybody on it, I don't know. I went on it once, and there was only 2 people, and I was the only one who was paying. The other two and me were free bus passes. So in any event, the bus would only get me to the town. And most people, if you read the comments here, believe this. Now, of the people who believe the cars are being targeted, and there is good evidence, nobody disputes it. If our government at the moment could take every car away, they would. Then they had the plan, we'll make them go electric, and there were out laws about that. But you don't need me to tell you that the electric cars are dead on its feet. They're dead. There's going to be only a few. There might be an odd one round the place, an odd taxi in Dublin and that. But by and large, there'll only be a very small interest. And they're never going to get general adoption of fully electric cars, at least. That's not happening, because they're a nightmare to deal with. I dealt with that elsewhere. So now they have the problem again. The petrol and the diesel cars, or the gasoline and the diesel cars, are going to be coming back. And you can take it that government is going to do unbelievable stuff. They'll tax them to the hilt. They'll try to stop us having cars. They'll try to stop us repairing old cars, some of them which are perfectly good chassis, everything. Just a matter of doing them up a bit. That's going to be banned. They're thinking of that in the EU. Now, I have to say that law is not in. But you must remember that that's the way our government works, the way the EU works. It proposes this. It's brought up before Europe. It's discussed in the European Parliament, maybe. And the Council of Ministers are brought over. We're going to bring in a rule here to do something or other. And our government doesn't have to agree, but they willingly agree. On the other hand, they know that if they ban cars altogether, there could be a problem there too. All the newspapers is all about taking your license off you. And the next thing they have now, anyone that's caught with some minor transgression will have to sit the test again. So we are under threat as motorists as well as every other way. Our government feels inferior. Simon Harris feels inferior, or Taoiseach. Micheál Martin, you only have to look at him. He's a wimp. That fella is afraid of his shadow. He's inferior. He has an inferiority complex. And this shows up when they have to make appointments to the national broadcaster or other jobs, or even to the Irish police force and other things. The person has to come from England. They believe there's nobody in Ireland with any brain at all. And when I make submissions to stuff on planning and on energy and that, they say, this farmer with cows, who the hell is he? And when you go to counter them in the courts, you want to see the way they treat you. Who the hell are you coming? And some of the judges kind of look at you like that as well. So I've identified that this is an inferiority complex. And I think the one thing about the Conservative government that went out of power in England, which was really a kind of a Labour government, it didn't seem to have that inferiority complex, because there's a bit of a class distinction in England yet. We're tough, So it doesn't seem to be so bad. And certainly the French, the Spanish and the Germans don't appear to have this inferiority complex. But it seems to be in the Paddy. The Paddy seems to think he's not much good, and the people in Ireland and the population are idiots. Idiots. We can rub the floor in them. Now, they got their answer with the water tax, the water charges. They were beaten on that. And only for that we'd be paying our water charges to BlackRock developments, and we'd be paying the pensions of Yankee and Americans through our water charges. Now they have the electricity service given away, all these windmills and stuff, and all they're owned by mostly foreign companies. Now, they're making no money, but if they did, those companies would be getting a slice for their pension funds as well. Now, they want the car away. They want it gone. Some of them are all driving cars. None of the government politicians, I think, have electric car. So they're hypocrites as well. But the people generally seem to agree with me, and I'd like to have your comment before I sign up. Our cars are targeted. We need our cars. The amount of emissions I produce in my van is quite small. Going here and there, going into a mart, going to get parts. Big time when I'm doing work, I need a part or I need a gallon of transmission fluid. Run over to Carrickmacross, get it, run over to Ballybor, go into the local motor factors here, wherever I need to get the piece and wherever the least delay is. And sometimes I went in the other day for a thing in another town and I had to go because they were dealing with complex matters and I just couldn't wait. So we need our cars for that. And the teacher going to work, the nurse going to work, and all of that needs our cars. The first thing they hit when the pandemic struck was transport. They said you cannot move a certain distance. So tying us down to certain locations is the way it's going to go. And there's going to be software put in cars in the future that they'll know every move you make, every mile you have, and where you go and where you don't go. And they'll be able to restrict the speed. I'm not too fond of that myself, but you can comment underneath. The main point is, if this is allowed to go on, I'd love to know how people think about it. I think that the Irish people, I don't think they have any reason to be inferior at all. We're performing quite good. We're unbelievably hard workers. All we're unbelievably hard workers. There's some of us, and not me really, are hard drinkers as well and all that, but we like to have a bit of spare time as well. I think we have a balanced enough lifestyle. I don't think we need anyone to tell us how to live our lives, and we definitely don't need self-help books or anything else. There are people who have too big a say in our government, who are telling the government what to do, and we need them off our backs. They're scared stiff about this Trump man coming in. This fella's do it your own way. They're scared stiff. There's no doubt he's different. But we in Ireland need to realise that when it comes to voting, and I return to this all the time, I don't like being always political. This is a political issue. If they think they'll be rejected at the ballot box, that they'll lose their seats and somebody else will be running the country, they will soon cop themselves on. They will soon cop themselves on. So folks, we'll see you back. 51,000 views. This one now could get 3,000 views. Certainly this problem of them taking our cars of us is the government policy. And then they have all these new things like AdBlue, and they have DPF filters, and they keep adding things that keep breaking and which don't actually work and leave it harder to get the car through the tests and all of that. We need a government which is sympathetic to the car. We need parties which is sympathetic to the car. And I don't know how these new parties coming on will be, but if I have any influence, the car will not be hated. The car will be a treasure, a very useful thing, a thing to be used wisely and safely, giving us the freedom to move about and live our lives with a bit of comfort. It is unbelievable that a race of people who went through so much for so long, worked so hard, making hay, making turf, cutting timber with a crosscut to keep warm in the winter, can't have the little bit of comfort of a car to sit into and go and do our little jobs and have a ceilidh and a visit. That is what's ultimately at stake here. It's ultimately taken from us the wealth and the well-being that we have worked for. It's ours. It's not belong to the Green Party, Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil. It belongs to us. And they are after it and they're going to take it from us. We'll see you back for something else. Please comment. Goodbye.